Hi, everyone, and welcome to our interview with Wolf Vosse today, who is our coffee companion. I'm so honored to have Wolf here. I've known him for a couple of years, and he's really been a great coach, and I always learn something from him. So Wolf has been semi-retired for the last 25 years. He divides his time between his love for real estate, his coaching work, and his commitment to cycling in the beautiful area where he stays. Wolf's passion is coaching young entrepreneurs, and he describes this as giving him the most job satisfaction he's ever experienced. Wolf has been described by his coachees as an insightful leader, always challenging assumptions with an ability to understand what drives people. He clearly articulates the way forward and always insists on focus to achieve goals. So we are really thrilled to have you with us today. Hi, Wolf.
Hi, Vicente, and I'm so happy to be with you at the Performance Cafe.
Thank you so much. It's been too long since we've had coffee, so I'm glad for this opportunity.
The thing is, actually, I don't drink any coffee in the mornings. When I wake up, I'm wide awake. I don't need coffee. I drink tea. But that's by the by.
Well, the problem I have with that, Wolf, is that you're making me feel bad because, yes, I definitely need that first cup of coffee just to get going in the mornings. You've shared with me what you thought was the impact of legacy leadership in businesses. Do you mind sharing with the viewers a bit of your thoughts on this?
Well, you see, how do you shape as a leader? If you're lucky, you've had a good role model, then you just follow that lead, or you copy those good habits and forget the bad habits. I started my first business when I was 21, and I never really worked for anybody thereafter. So I didn't have good role models. So what do you fall back on? And most people fall back on the way they were brought up. Now you can see, Chento's let the cat out of the bag. I've been semi-retired for the last 25 years. It shows you how old I am. But I had to unlearn preconceived ideas about how to lead, how to manage people, and how to get performance out of them. So, and I think that is prevalent today also in our different language groups and cultures. I hear this a lot from my Afrikaans leadership coaching members, that they were brought up in a hierarchical society. You never contradict your seniors. You tell them what to do. They have this favorite phrase that says, I have so many people working under me. No, man, they don't work under you. They work with you. And you are their team leader. You are not their Führer and dictator and performance dressage, performance directors. You are their empowerment person. You are there to bring the best out in them. But we're marching ahead too fast.
No. There's enough to speak about. So I suppose you're entirely right. And do you find that you brought up a very relevant example of the Afrikaans speaking leadership? And being Afrikaans myself, I quite understand, because socially, even within households, we see that happening. Do you think we've got a similar concern with regards to how corporates teach us to lead and manage?
Why do so many people leave corporates? It's those rebels that say, I can't handle it. And then they start their own business. And then they say, I'm not going to be like that. And yet you just don't realize what you subconsciously taken on board. And that's where I come back again to that unlearning. And corporates, it's all very hierarchical. It's all about climbing the ladder and following the pattern. Don't step out of line. Don't contradict. And just wait your turn, and you go. You will, in the end, be rewarded. Well, that doesn't work for today's society and working population anymore. They are young. They want to get ahead. They push the boundaries, and thank God they do. Thank God they do.
then coming up to, I think what's quite a favorite topic of yours is how do we then lead today? If this top-down structured approach doesn't work, what does work, and how do I, as a manager, bridge that gap?
You see, performance, you have got the performance cafe, and performance, getting performance out of people is in some ways very simple and some ways quite difficult. So how do we bridge the gap? How do we now lead in today's environment? First of all, it starts off with setting expectation. And I think it is so unfair if a new team member joins me, or I've been appointed a team leader, and I just expect you to know what my standards are. And then I speak to that person and he says, Wolf, I've got problems. Please help me. They are not performing. And I look at them, and because I take liberties, I say, but that's an indictment on you because you're not performing. And they look at me all puzzled and they say, well, what do you mean? It's them. No. Ken Blanchard, the 1 Minute Manager, coined a marvelous phrase and it said, it's always the leader. Mm. It's the setting of the expectations. So the first conversation, in fact, during an interview, you should put it on the table and say, if you were to join this team, let me tell you what the expectations are. This is our culture. This is how we work here. This is how we do things. Are you sure this is for you? Mm. And then the next thing is to say, now, tell me, if you're going to join us, what are your expectations from this job? See, clarifying expectations both ways is of utmost importance if you want to have a performing team member and a contributor to the team, because you've got to put your cards on the table. He may have worked for a boss that had totally different expectations, and now you assume that he knows your standards. And you know what the word assume stands for, right? It makes a fool out of you and me. You see, I can't use those words. I'm still old-fashioned. So that's it. So the assumption that they know your standards is totally unfair. So you've got to clear the deck. You've got to say, this is what we expect. This is how we work. And this is how I expect you to react when you fall behind. And when you say you do something, I expect you to give it your best shot. Right? Pep Guardiola, a famous soccer coach, and I don't watch soccer, I just read it, says, I don't expect you to win every time, but I expect you to give it your best. And if we then lose, that's okay. Mm-hmm. But if you haven't given it your best, then you don't belong on this team. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, that's the most important one. However, let's talk about the leaders and the manager's role in getting people to perform. Mm-hmm. Most people see themselves, and I saw myself as the master driver. I always set high standards for myself. I did perform because I wanted to perform. Now, therein lies the key that I want to come back to again. Finding people who want to perform, right? And so going back to my leadership style, because I never had a coach. I never had a role model. So you learn by doing. So I said, I don't want to be micromanaged. So therefore, I didn't manage them either. Fast forward 2 years, and I had accumulated some losses. Whereas when I had been on my own, I was very profitable. Then I took 2 ex-colleagues that had been in the country longer, knew a lot more about the business than I did, because I left the company and started in competition to them, which so often happens because it's better. You know how to do it better. then you find that that's not too easy. Anyway, so I didn't manage them. And guess what? Racked up big losses. I went on a honeymoon and I thought, oh, hell, things are not going too well. And now I've got a wife to look after. Thank God she looked after me. And that's when I first time realized performance doesn't happen when you are the dictator, when you are the person that has to wind everybody up, right? That has to put that energy there because it is so draining. Fast forward, I sold the last business I was actively involved in at 40, and I said, oh, I never want to do anything anymore, have anything to do anymore with people, because I've had people up to here.
Yeah.
They drain me. They don't do what I do. Yes, we were successful, but I felt if I wasn't there to push it all and make it all happen, and it didn't happen. Little did I know in my youthful ignorance that it was me, my fault, my fault. I wasn't a good leader. I didn't choose people properly and correctly, nor did I create an environment that was conducive to high performers. And I am sure, looking back, that a few natural high performers that I had, by fluke or fortune, engaged, left me because they couldn't handle my management style. So let's go back again. It's always the leader. When there is a lack of performance, it's always the leader, because you are in charge of those people. You're not in charge. You're in charge of those people that are put in your charge. That is a change in attitude.
I love that. I love that you say that. You're not in charge. You're just in charge of those people. I don't think that people, I think leadership comes with such a status that I think that it often goes straight to our head. I just want to come back, thank you, because you actually spoke about leadership style now, and I really like that. I just want to ask you, you seem to have quite a participative leadership style. Could you tell us a bit more about how you manage people so that we can learn from some examples?
You see, you expect performance. What is performance? What is good performance? And again, you have to say that. Good performance is when your attitude is right, first of all, because let's face it, even if you turn out good quality of work, if your attitude is wrong, you make it very difficult to be around and to have fun with and to enjoy. So, to my mind, if you have employed the right people, or if you have been able to attract the right people, that is the key, actually. If you've been able to attract the right people, then that mantra that they say that 20% of your workforce is actually counterproductive, they negatively influence your team, you wouldn't have them. You'll find that more in larger companies, because in a small company, you stand out like a sore thumb, that 20%, and you're out. And that's the job, again, of a leader. He needs to see that, and he needs to listen to his team. So when you talk about participative, I call it participative and empowering leadership. It is, you don't put yourself on that high pedestal and everybody is around. You put yourself in the middle or on the side, on either side, because you're like a jockey. You're like a jockey. The good jockey, his hands on the reins are very light, because the horse is wanting to perform. And when you see them having that whip, notice they don't whip them. They just put it along the side, and it's that motion that gets them. Good performers don't need to be whipped. They don't need to even necessarily get a bonus every time they've done something right. They would like recognition. That's where we come back again to the environment. But it's not just money or a penalty when you don't perform. You see, I see myself as a coach, and I am trying to get managers and leaders to see themselves not as the person that is the one that knows it all and has the superior experience. And of course, when you start a company, that's how you start. You know it all. But if you stay that know it all, you don't take them to think. You become a dictator by default because you have all the answers. So whereas if you want to empower the team and if you want to scale, and this is the word that they all want to use, and everybody wants to scale. Now, scaling is not for everybody. You need the leadership style that allows you to scale. And I, in my young years, didn't realize that I was the blockage. I mean, in the end, we had about 150 people, so it wasn't too small a business. But thank God, I surrounded myself with other people, better managers who got better performance out of the people that I did. Because, you see, people leave managers, they don't leave just the leader right at the top. They don't work for that guy that they see so infrequently. They work for their team leader. So that's why our team leaders, our management, is one of the most important segments in our team environment. They make things happen, the managers.
Perfect. Then, Wolf, I think if I could ask you just to explain to us a little bit, with participative leadership, what are the kinds of things that we do to be accessible, but, not too hands-on?
Well, firstly, I believe that if you have a new employee, the induction period is vitally important. And to my mind, the best way to do it is to actually let them choose a shadow, a person, or a mentor that they have very regular access and they develop a trusting relationship. Even if you have a team of 7 or 8 and you've now employed the 8th person, assign somebody that shows them the ropes and not just the technical stuff, but about your culture, your values, the way we do things around here. That's culture. This is acceptable, this is not acceptable. And that needs to be lived and brought up in a non-threatening environment. Now, you, the team leader, I think it is vital that you explain your role. When I give you a task, if you are new, I need to discuss the outcome. I need to discuss what success looks like. So when this job is finished, this is what we'll see, this is what it will look like, this is what it will be able to do, and that's success. And of course, success means quality, quantity, and the time frame. And most of all, the attitude with which the whole thing is approached. Now, can you be friendly with everybody? Friendship and trusts are things that are essential in a good team. But how friendly is friendly? I made that mistake when I was in the army, and I wanted to be friends with everybody and said, look, you obviously know how we need to survive this. And it was all wrong. But again, it's lack of experience. It's lack of knowing the consequence of over familiarity, because we haven't explained the boundaries. Because if you're part of my team, this is my role. I'm here to make you successful. I'm not here to be your controller. I'm not here to be your micromanager. I'm not here to check on you every 5 minutes, right? This is what we want to achieve. If you are new, I may teach you or tell you, watch out for this and watch out for that. But as a leader, I should know whether you can do this job or you can't do this job. It's my responsibility. So if you fail, it's my responsibility as much as yours. And that needs to be talked about, especially in the early stages when you have a new team member. You just say, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to do the job for you, right? But I'm here to help you. Now, at the same time, if you feel you're struggling, feel free. Come to me, right? Now, here's a little trick. Never ban the word why in a coaching environment. Why? When you ask somebody, why did you do that? What the hell? Why did you do this? How could you? What are you going to get?
Defensiveness.
Right? And you're not going to find the real reason for it going wrong. Right? It takes practice. It takes a lot of practice. You have to catch yourself on that because that word why is just not working. What were you thinking? That looks interesting. Is that the outcome you were hoping for? Right? What were you thinking? Now, and if he says, yes, that's the outcome I was hoping for. Meanwhile, you were, wanting a different outcome, right? And then you don't ask, why do you say that? You say, what makes you think that? And it's basically asking the same question without that negative inference.